Now, what do I do if I've got something that's just too badly stained? My arm is going to wear out on the beading here after a while. So the more I can get out before I get to this point, the better off we are, right? So what do you do with the white things that are dingy colored or they've got stains on the white places? Well, I've got this. This is the finest stain remover and bleach that you'll ever set eyes on. And if you don't have some of it, ladies, you need to go home and start getting it right away. It's called chamber lye. Chamber lye, lye like the soap. Chamber, because we get it out of the chamber pot first thing every morning. All right? We all know what a chamber pot is? All right, so you know what I'm picking up. Now, why a chamber pot? Because if you collect it during the rest of the day, it's much more watery. You want to get it out of the chamber pot because that's when it's the strongest in the morning. And you don't want to use it fresh. No, no, no. No. You want to put it in a kettle like this, collect it and sit it to the side and just keep collecting it. And then it sit there in the open for about 2 weeks. All right? At the end of 2 weeks, what you've collected, the urine itself will begin to get stale and the ammonia will get very, very strong. So by the time I'm using it in the laundry, it's a very strong ammonia, and it does a very good job. That second kettle by the fire, I told you we were going to talk about what they were for. On wash day, ladies, you want to fill it full of the stale urine. A little bit of water, most of it just stale urine. Anything that you get that's white, that is heavily stained, like gentlemen's shirts, you know, sometimes around their necks and stuff, they're very bad. Or it has big stain places, or if you've just got a white shirt that's getting dingy. Drop it in the urine bucket and push it into the fire and boil it really good for about a half hour before you bring it over and start it here, and it'll take just about all the stains out. Saves your arm very much work in the long run. Oh, and for those of you that might be dyeing wool this winter, because I know we're all needing wool clothes to stay warm, you do know that this is what you're using with your wool to make the color stick to it, don't you? By your horrified looks, I'd say no. And for all of you that have those really pretty indigo pants on, you do realize that this is what we're using to get the indigo to put on your pants. Indigo comes from a plant, from a flower, and it's urine that makes it release the blue that we can put on there. So just so you know, you're wearing it. All righty. Now, I bring things over and I rinse them here one at a time. And if I had some young girls, they would be the ones that would be wringing my clothes for me in between the times that I'm doing my wash. But as you can see, I don't have anyone but myself here today. But the white shirts that the gentleman gives me and the ladies' fine caps, I need to whiten them a little bit more. I want them to be very, very bright when I give them back to their people. So I'm going to use this. Inside this little muslin bag is a square of indigo powder mixed with starch. And I'm going to dip it in the rinse water just a little bit to turn it just a pale blue, so that when I take those white shirts and those white caps that are just a little dingy and put them in here once or twice, when I pull them back out, your eyes think that they're whiter. You see, blue and yellow are opposite of each other, so if your eyes are looking a little yellow, if you throw just a little blue into it, it cancels each other out and moves back to the middle again. It really doesn't make it whiter. It just makes your eyes think it's whiter. So as long as your eyes don't care, it's all right, right? Now, what about the gentlemen's fine shirts? I'm sure all of you are going to the dance tonight and you don't want to go with wrinkled shirts. This is the skimming off the top of the boiled potatoes and rice that we've had at home for the last few weeks. You skim that off and set it to the side and it dries and makes a powder. And on laundry day, I put it back in warm water and shake it up really good. And I put it in the second kettle there by the fire. And anything that I want starched, I just dip in that once or twice and it comes out nice and stiff when it dries. So I'll starch your clothes for you too. Now, on a cold day like today, I'm sure all of you ladies just really want to have your hands in this water all day long, don't you? That's a rough way to have to make a living, is it not? So what do you do when it's too cold to do your laundry outside? What are the things you need to get clean? Well, in our time period, it's the whites. The whites is what you're worried about, because the darker things that you're wearing, you just spot stain on those. You really don't wash them very much. The wool things, you just take spot stains out too. But your white things, your shirts, your breeches, your shifts, the lady's nightgown looking thing that you're wearing next to your body, those white aprons, the caps, those are the things you want to get clean. So what do you do when you can't do a big laundry like this and wash because it's too nasty? Well, you buck them. All of you buck your laundry? No? That's why you're wearing darks on a cold day, right? All right, I teach you how to do this. It'll save you lots of trouble. You go ahead and get the water boiling in a big kettle. Doesn't matter if it's copper or not, you just get a bunch of water boiling. And you put your white things down in the bucking tub, like this, laying the fine things at the bottom and getting heavier things as you go up. And then you take this is called a bucking cloth, and you lay it on top of your tub, and I'm going to fill the top of this with about 2 inches of ashes from the fire. Cold ashes, not hot ones, or they'll burn through the cloth. Cold ashes all the way around the top, about 2 inches thick. And when my water gets to boiling, I'm going to take a cup at a time and dip it out and pour it over the ashes so that it soaks through the ashes and through the cloth and down into the clothes that are underneath it. And I'm going to keep doing that until the whole thing is full of water. Once it gets full, I'm going to let it sit for a little while until the water cools down. And when it cools down, I'll take the bung out here on the back and I'll drain the water out and go back and heat it again and then repeat it over those ashes again. And I'm going to keep taking the water out and heating it again and putting it back in for about 12 hours straight, all day long. But by the end of the day, what kind of water am I pouring through there? Did you know that's how you make lye soap? The ashes of the fire is where you get your lye. So as I'm pouring that hot water over those ashes, it's taking the lye out of the ashes and putting it down into the water, so that every time I redo that, the lye, the bleach, is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So by the end of the day, I'll be able to take my white things out and they will be bleached perfectly white. And I've not had to do anything with my hands other than just dip and pour water. So that's a way you can do it in the wintertime when it gets to be too cold for you to have to do all of this out here. All right. Now, what day of the week do you always do your laundry on?
Monday.
Why do you do it on Monday?
I do it every day.
That's because you're very poor. Only poor people do their laundry a lot. Did you know that? Usually you only did laundry about once every 2 months, or maybe once a month at the very most. And when the colonies decide to start doing their laundry every 2 weeks, the Europeans think we're barbarians. Nobody does laundry that much. It just means you're really poor, because you should have enough clothes to go that long. You do laundry on Monday because in this time period you've only got a few kettles here, right? This is what you're using to cook your meals with, correct? So if I'm doing laundry in them, you're not going to get anything to eat today, are you? So what day of the week do you cook the biggest meals on? What day of the week did you go visiting to each other?
Sunday.
Right, so that means you have leftovers on Monday, right? So that's why you did the laundry on Monday, because you had the kettles to be able to use. That's where that all got started from. And we all just do it because we think we need to.